time. Does that take me right there? Oh, it does. Oh, that button works. All right. Hello. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to another Flights with Joel stream. Thanks for dropping by. This is Flights. No, this is Joel. It is Flights with Joel. And today we are back. We're back here at KMSO in Montana. A beautiful recreation of the hover control scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator. The new flight simulator. And I am doing one more lesson and a flight. We're going to do a quick lesson, then a flight, starting early to do part 4 of the helicopter, how we fly helicopters in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And that is not to say how you should fly a helicopter. That is not to say how to fly a helicopter in real world. This is how I do it anyway. I don't know about the rest of you. In this sim, MoBM, what's going on? Loved your plan. I just couldn't figure out where that was. Looking at maps, I was trying to figure it out. Couldn't quite get it down because I wouldn't mind taking a detour. So anyways, this is our subject of the day. I've done 3 lessons. This is part 4. Part 4 is going to be largely about the H145 because it's the most advanced helicopter in the sim. It's one of the most advanced helicopters in the world as it is. There are helicopters as advanced, but I don't know that there are many helicopters more advanced. The team at High Performance Group is doing an amazing job literally every day of making this better and better and better. The H135, also their project, is the freeware version of this and also a great helicopter. But I just thought I would go over this for those of us who fly it and people who might be new to it. I know there might be some people who have purchased it and they're not actually flying it because it is a little overwhelming. It's overwhelming even for me. It's probably, I always have a hard time saying this because I don't want to, put down any other work. But it's probably the best helicopter in the sim for a few reasons in this simulator. Not by any means every simulator, but in this sim, because more and more, every single part of it works, and you'll see what I mean as I go along. But even starting outside, well, for instance, all the doors open. The modeling is beautiful. It has a lot of weight to it.
It's only a game.
What?
Why you have to be mad?
Iceman. Stepping in with the game language already. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Oh, and I'm out. I'm not online yet. If you're here flying around, I will be online as soon as I get started. I just thought I would be, I just wanted to hear the engines and stuff and have people watching and watching later on the YouTube. I want them to be able to hear all these sounds because the sounds on this are fantastic. So the exterior modeling is beautiful. The interior modeling is beautiful. The detailing is fantastic. And when I talk about detailing, I'm also talking about the animations. So I know these were wrong for a time. I'm not 100% sure if they're correct now, but they sure look nice. They sure look correct. So you can get a visual idea. This is the collective. I'm moving the collective up and down. If you've seen the other videos, you should know what a collective is by now, and you should have read your entire manual at this point and understand how a collective works. So it collectively moves the blades and changes the angle of what becomes your wing when it starts spinning fast enough. So you have that animation. Here's the cyclic. Look at that. Look at that. I can see it's not perfect, but it's getting there. It's incredible. And all the little details on top, especially the details by Zach, details like that, which are by Zach, the livery maker, who was generous enough to make this beautiful rendition of an imaginary livery. So I haven't flown this color much, so I thought I would check it out. It's hard to get back here to see hard to get back here to see this. Okay, the Fedistrum, I believe it is. It's not animated. I'm moving the pedals now, and it's not going anywhere. So it's not animated, but knowing these guys, it will be. Another thing I should say about this, which is one of the most amazing things about this helicopter, is this is still beta. This is not the final version. This is the civilian that I'm in. That's why it has seats in the back. There are 3 different versions, so some of what I am talking about only applies to this, but very little. There's more stuff in the military that only applies to the military. A lot of reading if you want to get deep into these helicopters. There's a lot to read. Just on their site. A lot to read on the different spots. And here's the interior. So this is the Avionics, is it? Sweet. I'm going to turn the battery on, and I'm going to go through this a little bit. Now, the reason I'm going to go through this a little bit is because you could easily spend 2 hours on this. Literally, just on the avionics of this helicopter. You could easily spend 2 hours just on this, going through every button and every switch, and there are fairly quickly, getting it all to work as the real thing. So we go up here, first thing, and we hit the battery master. And I'm not doing anything else yet, just because I'm going to go over this, as I say, briefly. So once I hit the battery master, it comes up in a very real-world way, and then I'm going to go down here, which it took me a while to find this because they move this around. I usually just start up, and I'm going to hit ground power so we don't run out of battery. I don't believe they have a animated cart at this time, right? No, they don't have a cart right now. But I just knowing them, I can't say this for sure. You can read on their Discord. They're probably planning one. Does anyone know? Anyone in chat know if they're planning a cart? Not that it matters to me, but I won't run out of battery as I sit here. So that's the important thing. All right, there it is. Now let me look at something else here. So the one of the most incredible things about this project is the manual. Is it here? Let me just make sure I've got the right. No, I think I pushed the wrong. No, that's right. That's the right button. Sort of. That'll work. It's bigger than I wanted it to be, but that's perfect. So it's a 68-page manual detailing everything kind of so far. There's more. And I hope I have the right version of it. I'm not 100% sure I do. But avionics system is one of the first things they go over. And there is a lot. Not only is there a lot in the system, it's very deep. You can fly it like I fly it with just knowing the basics, basically. But you can do all types of instrument approaches. You can do there's like 5 maps in this thing. If you only count the ones that are in the helicopter and not the additional maps, I think there's 3. But with all the additional maps available, oh man, electric external power in the tablet. Electric external power in the tablet. Oh, what? It is? Oh, does that then bring up a little, hold on a second. We'll drop this down. Does that then bring up the cart in the tablet? Electric external power in the tablet. Where in the tablet? Not that it's that important. Electric external power. Oh, external weapons. CDT. Iceman. Uh-oh. Did you get a CDT when you hit electric external power in the tablet? Set. Is it there? Whoops. Is that it right there? That? No. That just brings that down. Ground power available, connect. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So here's a good example, and thank you very much for pointing that out. This is a good example of how deep this is. There are hundreds of bells and whistles here. Hundreds. I mean, if you are into getting deep into an aircraft, and now let's see. There it is. So we do have a cart now. we have a little card. Oh, isn't that cute? I kind of remember this coming up. That's a good one. That's a nice looking card. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous cart. Okay, let's bring this dock back up here. And we'll, I'm basically going over this kind of in brief. As I say, you could do hours on just this. So if anyone wants to do hours on this, then I will try and recommend a streamer that will do that. But there's just a lot here. There's a lot here, so look it over. Definitely look it over. I'm going to kind of show you how you can get going and fly it. And when I said in the description 3 different ways to fly the H145, there's more than 3 different ways, but I'm going to kind of tell you the main 3 methods. All of them are pretty fun, in my opinion. All of them are pretty fun, but you may have, I know a lot of people don't like using the auto assist. See, it says autopilot, but it's not exactly an autopilot. I know some people don't like using that. So there's several different ways not to use it. If you do like using it, it's good to set up your controller. I've had a lot of difficulty not using the controller. Hype does great work. Yes, they do. They do fantastic work. So yeah, I should have known. I know I knew in the back of my mind it was somewhere, but that is so great. You have nav page now that has weather, and the other cool thing. I mean, like you should look at this if you get the 145, you should give this a good look over, especially if you want to fly different kinds of approaches and use it fully. It's just. I mean, I don't even kind of touch on a lot of the things that you can do, but I'm going to look it over. So the cool thing here is that any one of these screens, as the real world has, can be changed to whatever you want. Oh, I'm wrong. The main screen cannot. Any one of these screens can be changed. You can scroll through the different screens. So you can have whatever you want, wherever you want it. In other words, you can put up the different things wherever you want them. I like to fly with the engines here. This is the engine parameters. And I like to put a map over here. And you have actually choices of maps. This is the map I usually use. I just like it. You can also, there's a Navaid map here. So this is a different type of map. This is probably better when you do have a flight plan, which I do today. But that's 2 of the maps. When I say 5, there's also the GTN. You've got 2 of those right there. I don't know why. So you can actually, I do know why. So you can look at 2 different things on your GTN as you're flying. The more maps, I mean, realistically, the more maps you turn on, the more trouble. Is there a plan? A plan? My plan is to talk and to fly. Yes, sir, there's a plan. Of course, there's always a plan. So, maps. So what I was talking about was you also have a choice of maps and programs right here. You can go on the interwebs and you can watch Flights with Joel on Twitch. You have little nav maps. You can play Floppy Bird if you're on auto and you're making a long flight. You have METARs now, so you can type in wherever you are. I think it's KM. Where am I? KMSO? Is that right? That's wrong. I think that's wrong. Let's see if that's where I am. I think it is. And you get your METAR right there. So if the METAR is not in the sim, I don't think it's in here either, but you can. That's a really nice feature. You can just look it up there. All the aircraft features are in the iPad. You can turn your equipment on and off, which I like it all on. So this is the glare shield right here. All kinds of different things. Wire protection on the bottom. Let's pop out and see that. So there's the wire cutters on the bottom. If we jump in here and we uninstall them, it's all just visual stuff because the wires are going to kill you anyway. If you put the wire add-on in that's now available for Europe, then I don't think it'll matter if you have wire cutters in. Anywho, you also have little nav maps which is a wonderful thing. So if I had a flight plan in here, for me, it's easier to follow there. And you have up here, you have the autopilot and the doors. So these are doors, these are lights. Just makes it quicker and easier to get to everything. I'm going to close all the doors except mine. Oh, listen. Did you hear that? And anyway, I think that was too fast. I'll open them again and shut up. Some great sounds. I love sounds. You know, something I love. So now we'll go ahead and do a startup. I think I'm at that point. I believe I'm at that point. I've gone through these screens briefly. I've gone through the helicopter. Controls are the same as everywhere. We're going to start it up and run it the first way. And there's also a detailed checklist. If you love checklists, you can start with cold and dark and go through the pre-startup checklist, which is pretty extensive, then do the startup checklist, etc., etc. I pretty much like to just get going. So the battery is on. These avionics are already on. I'm surprised. We need the primer pumps on, and we always need the anti-collision light on. That tells people we're going to start, as well as yelling out the window, you know, clear rotors. I think you still say clear prop. But you, in most cases, I believe you'd have a crew of this with this helicopter. If not, you yell out the window, clear prop. Does a window work? No, not yet. So you'd have to open the door and yell out there, look out, you morons, I'm going to start. Uh-oh, am I getting... There we go. I have real weather on right now, so that's why the snow... Startup is pretty simple because it has a automatic engine control system, a FADEC, full authority digital engine control, FADEC. So you don't have to do much. You do need to monitor these because if for some reason somebody left something near the intake, I mean, there still could be problems, but the computer is going to do everything for you. So you put it on idle, which is one click on your mouse, and you watch. And that's engine one right there. Also some fantastic animation here. This is the only one that I know of that has this awesome animation like this. It's absolutely cool. Iceman's saying hello to all these people. Are you saying hello to people on Discord? Hello all. What's happening? Thanks for being here. I will be turning on multiplayer once I get started up. Once I get ready to roll. Hope I'm not missing anything. I probably am. So that's engine one. It's up and idling. Now, a lot of people just start them both at the same time, but the actual procedure would be one at a time. So you can monitor each one as it starts. And also, you could look at the individual animation as they wind up. Hydrating. Little hydrate. So there we go. That's idle. Now, we don't need the ground power anymore, so I think I can click that. No. Did that do it? That? Ground power disconnect. There we go. So that should be gone. It's gone. Now, I don't need it here either. Does this switch go off automatically? It doesn't. I don't know that it does. It seems to be in neutral. I can't tell. It probably doesn't make any difference. Probably fine. Either way. So now we will actually usually... Well, yeah, let's do it the correct way. So now I go turn everything else on. So we're going to have our standby battery on. Standby avionics already seems to be on. The pitot heat, it'll always tell you that it's not on. I'm turning all my lights on just so people in a group can see me. You would turn the landing lights off once you take off, and you don't necessarily need the strobes all the time. but I fly with them when I'm doing these kind of flights. It's going to be group messing around at first. Group messing about. So back down here, main view, and let's wind these all the way up. So we go from idle to fly, and then we lock them. There we go. Both engines on fly. I am going to attempt, if I forget, someone remind me, I am going to attempt an auto rotation before we leave the airport. So if anyone wants to see an auto rotation, make sure you remind me. I want to do that. But I'm going to do a lot of the stuff we've already done just with a new helicopter. And I am parked. I think, okay, we're started. We've heard all the starting. We've heard all this. See if anyone's at the airport. General options. Data on. See if anyone's about. Maybe I'm inside some poor aircraft. Resume. Resume. There we go. I've got my door open. So, before I take off, what I'm going to do at first, the first way to fly this is to leave these off. Basically leave the A trim and autopilots off. So the autopilots are basically assists. They're kind of like fly-by-wire, but not exactly, where they'll keep you, the helicopter, positioned wherever you want it to be. So I'm going to leave those off at first and just do a little lap around the pond and see if anyone has. CIA Cowboy, hello. How are you doing, brother? I'm doing good, CIA Cowboy. How are you, sir? How are you? Just now, you see I'm getting all these warnings. A great thing about this is that if you're doing something wrong, it tells you. So really, oh, I see what else it's telling me. It's telling me that this is set wrong. So I have my prime pumps on. I don't need them anymore. I need my transfer pumps on. So I'm switching my pumps around, and that warning should be gone. What other warning do I have? All my SAS. So all the auto assistance. My bus tie is open. System 1 and 2. Now that I'm not sure about. I think it is this. Is this not all the way on? Oh, I hate that. I hate that. This is a 3-position switch, and you have to put it all the way to battery master. Now everything is going to come up again, but it should be fine. It should be just fine. So we get to see it start again. I got to wait a second for it to align itself because I shut the battery off. But it's we are in a ready-to-go state. Autopilot, auto assistance off, and we're just going to fly it with the flight model that it comes with. So this comes with a flight model, obviously. I don't know the inner workings of it. I don't know how it works. You don't need Airline FS to fly this or the H135, although you can use it. That's going to be the third example of how to fly the thing. So I'm just going to do a lap around the airport, flying it with no assistance. Whoops, I still see a yellow thing. Yes, that's all autopilot stuff. And it's telling me the landing light is on. And it's also telling me something failed. The LA VCS failed. Now I think that's a passenger comfort device right there. So that needs to, it wants that on to keep the passengers comfy. Yeah, that's what that was. That is what that was. I'm going to turn on my track IR and fly around this scenery once. Doesn't look like anyone's here. Hopefully that's not the servers today. Hopefully that's the case. So, oh, that was a nice slide around. They're always updating this. I think I'm on version 230 on the Discord for Hype. Yeah, it is the official version, I believe, is beta 10, but they've made quite a few changes since then. There we go. Now I'm not using any pedal, just flying. It actually flies quite nice. Just using their flight model and just flying. Quite nice. I rarely do this because here's the thing. I fly this a lot on stream, and I use the autopilot so that I can So I can do a lot of that. So I can go outside. Oh, there's a ton of people here. What am I talking about? So I can go outside and see everybody and just fly it along. So that'll be the next version of how to fly, how this flies. Another way you can fly it. There's T-44, Dano. See, we got a bunch of helicopters, I bet. Ralph's Nightmare is here. Red Heron is here. Copper Hat is here. Hello, Copper Hat. No one's saying hello in the chatty chat. It's because they're all talking on Discord. So my Discord does have a comms channel where people are actively laughing at the streamer. I mean, talking, communicating. Who's by there? Rad Pilot Randy and Iceman are all down there. Nice. Nice, nice. Wow, and it looks like they're in a bunch of 145s. That's what it looks like. Copper Hat must be in something, a paint that I don't have or something. Oh, I totally got distracted, and I'm way too high. Let's see what we can do about that. How fast does it stop? Because there's some helipads up there still. Oh, it stops pretty fast. In this mode, it stops pretty fast. Not bad, not bad. Okay, pull it up. It still has this kind of twitchiness thing that I don't understand, that it's always had. It's still there a little bit. It's gotten so much better. I'm getting a warning about the ground. I don't know if you heard that. There we go. So now, oh boy, I am twitchy. Some of this twitchiness is me, my fault. So now I'm going to fly it in the sort of the, I would say, the proper way. I mean, not that there's a right and wrong. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. That's not true. Not yet. First, we're going to test this out. So this is with the no autopilot on. We're going to do one of these exercises. Whoops. Which I think it'll do quite well. So this is a hover exercise that we did on day 1. Let's see how I do. Yeah, it's still a challenge. If you've got the autopilot off, you go over this arrow and you slide to the side, and then you stop over this arrow. Whoop. You turn to the arrow direction. Pedal turn. There we go. Ah, there's Red Heron, I bet. And then you slide to the side. Oh, I know partly why I'm getting trouble. I have to turn my, because I don't have a super powerful system, I have to turn the awesome effect of the rotors off. The rotor effect, I think, is pretty spot on now. It's pretty nice. See all the dust up there? I'm going to put it down. I'm going to turn that off because it does hammer the frame rates for someone like myself. Now, I will know when I am able to update, I will know how much it hammers a better card than mine, or whether it does at all. So where was I? Here we go. Options. Options. Rotor downwash effects. Just turn that off for now. Just for now, even though I love them. And see, that should help me fly. Should help me with the flight quite a bit. All right, I'll just finish this little exercise. There we go. So sideways here. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Turn towards the arrow. Sideways over to that arrow. Fun exercises, actually. It's a fun place to do these. This really gets your hovering in shape. Oh, I knew I missed something. I think people know this, but there are, so that's the last arrow. I'll set it back down. And grab what I missed. So what I missed, for starters today, what I missed was the different levels that you can use to fly this. So under aircraft, is that where it is? I never do this anymore. Setup. So I have the gameplay mode on realistic. Okay, now this is where this is similar to the H145, and it's similar to airline files. You can decide what you're going to do. So arcade, I believe that is for the Xbox. I'm pretty sure when they get it on Xbox, they already are planning to make a flight model just for that. And oh no, there's only 2 now. Well, that's interesting. I'll be dang. And this has to do, these sensitivities have to do with getting your cyclic set up so that you can fly the autopilot. If you're having problems with the autopilot, you can adjust these settings in the helicopter so that the autopilot will work better. I thought there was still 3 settings. Realistic and arcade. That's all there is now. All right, cool. I was wrong. I thought there was a simpler way. So number 2, to show you the third way to fly it, I'm going to have to break everything. But number 2 way, of course, is the way that they fly in the real world. You have all the assistants on. And to fly this correctly, I have to switch my controls. So same controller, but I have a 145 profile for my stick, which is old, so it doesn't show up in the picture. But this profile, for one, it turns me, it does a weird thing animation-wise. So this profile has the autopilot, some of the autopilot functions. There's something like 20 different functions if you have enough buttons. Realistic mode for H145 should require left pedal anti-torque, right? It's been a bit buggy for me. Sometimes it takes off without needing the pedals to counteract rotor torque. I always need the pedals. Sometimes with the auto assist on, it doesn't. That's true. If I turn all the auto assist off, it does seem to need torque. They're always playing with that. Like I just noticed on one of the updates, on the most recent update, that they're messing with how much it slides and how much the anti-torque pedal is needed and things like that. So this is now on the autopilot mode. And so my stick is actually a little mushier to make it just makes it work better. It makes it so the autopilot doesn't fail, basically. So it's a little less sensitive. That's what I'm trying to say. So I can still fly it with the stick. I can still basically override. Let's see if that's true. So I'm picking up the no pedal. So you're right. I'm not using any pedal right now. And it does take a minute. It will eventually go. But you're right. It doesn't hardly need any pedal. To keep it absolutely straight, I need pedal. And you're supposed to press the trim release here in order to move, because wherever I move it with the auto assist on, it'll stay there. Pretty much stay where that is. So it'll just stay right there. And then there's a way, if you want to fly it basically from a stop, auto hover on. So now the auto hover feature is on, and I can just raise it up a little, and I can beep trim it forward, which I'm pretty sure is this way. No, it's this way. Uh-oh. Is my beep trim not working? Yes, it is. It's not. It's not. Something is amiss. Let me have a look at something. Go here. Autopilot. Oh, uh-oh. That's why. Because they changed everything. So this is on. Oh, they changed stuff again. I might need to reprogram. Nope, there it is. My beep trim's working. So that's beep trimming myself forward. There we go. And I will start to pick up speed. So this is how you can basically autopilot it. I'm barely touching stuff. Dave, how's it going? You guys are talking back and forth. So now that I'm going about 20, I hit the upper modes of the autopilot. And there's an entire paper about this autopilot, what all this means. And now I'm totally under autopilot. 30 is about as slow as I can go. And again, I can beep trim my speed. I can beep trim my height, get a little more height, and I'm off to the races. And then I just use the what's already built in to change my direction. So you already have, to change where your needle is here. That's probably already built in on your controls, depending on what you have. It's probably already there. But if it's not, you can assign something to do that. So now I'm just hanging. I'm just here, and the helicopter's doing all the work. Hello, David Noel. How are you, sir? And this is one of the reasons as a streamer I love this, because I can fly along here. Let's see if I run into the tower as I say this. And I can go into the drone cam and do, you know, just hang. So that's how I do that. It's because I'm on autopilot much of the time. Lopez Family Tube, how are you doing? See, that's fun stuff. Fun stuff, and you can watch everyone messing about. We will bring it. Let's see if I can bring it around. I will need to get in to stop, but I will bring it around because you can... Oh, is that not working? Oh, I'm in drone cam. It doesn't work when you're in drone cam, silly. There we go. So I can turn it with the autopilot as I'm out here watching things. Beautiful here today. In Montana. Beautiful day in Montana. But I'm going to jump in so I can see what's happening. I do have a little bit of wind. We have a wind indicator right here. Right there, that little deal. Tells you what's going on. And I'm going this is basically, you know, pattern speed. It's a little slow, even for patterns. Now, let's see if I can trim it back onto a pad. I don't think I'm close enough yet. There's the Iceman in Iceman livery. Where's one of my pads? Ooh, they're hard to spot in the snow. They're hard to spot in the snow. Slow it down. I don't even see the pad. That's funny. Nope, I can't see him. I lost him. Oh, they're over there. Okay, slow down. I'm going to slow down as much as I can. And I'm basically just going to autopilot into the ground. You want to get out your flight stick and get a yoke. What's good? What's out there? Oh, boy. You want to get out. You want to get out of your flight stick and get a yoke. You're asking helicopters? Bunch of helicopter people? What yoke is good? What a yoke? I seriously do not know. Okay, I'm losing track of myself. This should get me in a hover right over here. If I hit hover now, it's not, and it's not stopping. So I'm dropping the autopilot. Now I just turn the autopilot off because I want to stop. What happened was I started talking and I lost concentration, but there we go. So let's get in here. Let's get this a little bit better. Let's get this wrapped up. Put the auto hover back on. I don't know why it's still going sideways. Not sure what's going on there. Nope, I just don't know why it won't stop. Okay, turning auto hover off again. I kind of know why. I don't have all the beep trims set up. So I need to set up my side cyclic, I guess. Usually it'll stop right where it is when I turn the auto hover on. But the behavior seems to change with every update. What I'm trying to do, if it works... Okay, my GTC is on. I'm trying to do a landing with my hover. So I'm just pulling the collective back slowly and letting it come down. What I know about yokes is the least expensive ones work pretty good, and the more you spend, the better they get. Like they are really, the more expensive ones are really nice. I mean, they're being used by flight schools, so yeah. Whatever, it's kind of like all the controls, in my opinion. Whatever you can afford must enter GTC H by hitting your GTC twice. Okay. Thank you. So I must just do that by accident sometimes. I must just do that by accident at times. So I'm going to try that. There it is. All right. So just learning the autopilot is, there's a lot there. So definitely spend some time getting it right. And now I'll slowly let it down again. I like to watch it land sometimes. It's even funner with the the effect on. But with the effect and people flying around, it gets a little nuts. It gets a little crazy. So that's a brief overview of the autopilot, or the pilot assist. Let me just check something here. Let me have a look at something real quick, because I want to get I want to give a better description of this. See what the manual says. Back to the top. AFCS, Auto Flight Control System. That's the wording I was looking for. It's not exactly an autopilot. It's an auto flight control system. The cyclic and collective controls are boosted and directly connected to the swatch plate. Additional smart electromagnetic actuators act in parallel to the pilot controls without visibly moving the cyclic or collective. These SEMA-type actuators are controlled by computers and act as sort of a fly-by-wire system with limited control authority. While this system is not true fly-by-wire, the result is that of direct control of the helicopter is shared between the pilot input and invisible input by computer systems. Traditional helicopter trims are installed at the base of the cyclic and collective controls, and the AFCS will control these in order to recenter the controls to ensure the SEMAs do not become saturated. So that's the technical explanation of how they work. The practical way they work is they make it a lot easier on the pilot. It feels like fly-by-wire, right? It feels like the computer is controlling everything, and you have control as well. So if you're flying along with autopilot on and you make a sudden movement, the autopilot, you will lose control. Whoops, wrong button. You will lose control, and you'll lose the AFCS. It will shut off because it thinks you need to make a sudden turn. It believes you, in other words. So that's kind of a built-in safety feature. It will turn off if you make sudden moves. So the third, I think I can leave it in this setting, and you won't be able to see everything I'm doing, but the Airland FS has been explained in the earlier videos. So the third way to do this is with Airland FS, and when you put it on Airland, nice. Let's, oh yeah, we're gonna have to do a flip. When you put it on Airland FS, then it kind of overrides everything. So it's another, if you really like the Airland FS stuff, or you just want to try that because you're not as happy with the 145. First, I thought I didn't have a profile. I'm using 145 V2 right now. So when you use Airland, you lose a lot. So you lose your torque and stuff. That kind of goes away. But what you gain is a more direct feel. Oh, and to use this now, I have to go back to my previous control option, my previous setting. So I have to scroll through here to helicopters. And the way I have my helicopters set basically is I have zeroed out the sensitivity. And I see that's a little off, so I just pop it around. There we go. That should reset it. Oh, it's not, but it should. It's not quite in the middle. That causes problems with the autopilot as well. So I put my dead zones all the way to 0, and I make it as sensitive as possible for flying helicopters. That's how I go about it. It's pretty much the way you want to do it. There we go, back in the pilot seat. So now with the Airland, now you need anti-torque immediately. See, it flies quite a bit different with the Airland files. They are working on implementing it more completely so that you'll still have the autopilot features and you'll still have, I believe, the instruments. I'm pretty sure they're working on this, but it feels a bit more agile to me with the Airland file. I haven't flown it for hours and hours, which is what you have to do to fully test a system. But as I fly today on our short group flight, I will probably use the autopilot. I don't know. I like watching all the helicopters flying around. So here we go. Let's try what I wanted to try here. It's not as agile as I thought. Still not as agile as I thought. Still a big, heavy helicopter. I wanted to try a quick stop. Yeah, it's not doing what I expected it to do. Uh-oh. Now that wasn't right. Yeah. What, did I kill it? I seem to have killed my helicopter. No, it's still flying. Interesting. Interesting. Still working. Okay, I thought for some reason I died. Yeah, it's behaving badly right now. I was wondering about this because the airland was just updated. The airland file. And this is not working as I would expect. It's just not behaving. I'm doing a lot of work to get this to work. Now it is. Now that's good. So, just another option, something they're working on, something you can check out. There we go. And unfortunately now, to get it back, this is the thing. If you use the airline, yeah. See, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened. So something they're working on, not quite there. And to get it back to where I was, the only way I have figured out is to reload the helicopter. And I know you can do this through developer mode, but I always find it to work better by reloading the flight. That's just what I find better. So there we go. That is pretty much the H145, the massive overview, as you can see. I'm going to jump in here because we already saw how it started. And do a group flight, and that is that is pretty much the conclusion of my quick how we fly helicopters in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We've done 5 hours of it now. 4 hours of it now. 4 hours of it. Nope, there's a command in the tablet to remove airline control. Oh, thank you. Now you tell me. You can close airline, go to setup, click the yellow airline, and you're back without a restart. Okay, Dano, I haven't I've tried that and haven't had success. That's why I'm reloading it, but that's good to know. So I'm wrong. You can close it in the tablet. There's a command on the tablet, and according to Dano, you can just close airline, which I have to remember to do right now. Even as I restart, I need to close airline. That should give me control again. And then I'm going to look for that command in the tablet to turn that off.